So my name's Geoff Thomas. I'm 62 years of age. I'm a Vietnam veteran. In fact, I spent 9 years in the Army. I spent a year in Vietnam as a sapper. I'm a plumbing contractor. I've done some professional photography work, and I have a gay son. I'm an intensely proud Australian. I love the idea of our democracy. I love the idea that we are inclusive and we're a tolerant society. But there's a myth about all of this. And that myth is that my son is not considered to be equal, or his relationships aren't considered to be equal to relationship I have with my wife, for example, or my daughter can have with her husband. And the sole basis of that is his sexuality. Now that to me is contrary to everything that we stand for as Australians. So eight years ago, John Howard changed the law to exclude gay people or same-sex couples from having the sort of relationship that I enjoy with my wife, in other words, to be married. And he did that on the sole basis of someone's sexuality, which I think is just totally contrary to everything that we stand for as Australians, both internationally and domestically. And when my son came out to me, I'd been raised homophobic, if you like, so I had to look at the way I lived and my relationship with my son. It was quite clear that I loved my son and that I didn't want to jeopardise that relationship. So it didn't take me very long. I looked at it. What was it about gays that I didn't like? The first issue that came to me was that I accepted that gays are born not made. Now, to me, that's fundamental. I totally reject the premise that gays are gays because of a lifestyle choice. This is an utterly ignorant premise to accept. The other thing that I look at is the people who actually oppose the idea of same-sex marriage. Now, if we analyse those people, and this applied to me as well, so I can apply it, I think, to other people. Those that oppose same-sex marriage, there are 4 pillars that form the basis of this opposition, and those pillars are fear, ignorance, prejudice, and plain bigotry. Now, we should not in this country relish the idea that we have a law that specifically excludes people from relationships like John Howard did. Philip Ruddock, in a discussion with him, told me one day that this was not discriminatory. I said to him, well, you might be able to get away with that at some religious convention, but you'll never convince everyday Australians that this law wasn't put in place maliciously to segregate gays from normal society. Now, there's no basis for this law to be as it is. This law now has been in place for 8 years. When we change laws, we normally do that for the benefit of society. But where is the benefit? Where's the net gain to Australia as a society, having introduced this law that segregates gays, maintains them as second-class citizens? I went to a wedding just a couple of weeks ago, my daughter's, and the marriage celebrant actually apologised because the government compels her to say when they get married that it's a man and a woman and to the exclusion of all others. I felt offended by that statement. There were a number of people in the room that were offended by that statement, and what it is, that statement is there simply to reinforce the fact to everybody present that same-sex couples are not the same as heterosexual couples. And to me, it's just utterly reprehensible that our society does that. We talk about a conscience vote. This should not be a conscience vote. This should be a matter of principle. We shouldn't be pushed into these types of decisions. We shouldn't be made to accept these types of decisions or laws in this country. I think it's abominable. I'm very proud of my son. Since my son's come out to me, I've had a very close look at how how gay society lives. We've had not a lot of people, or in recent times it's changing, but we say that gay people don't stand up and talk about their position often enough. They haven't done that in the past because of the level of vilification and harassment in the workplace and in society. Changing this law, if it does one thing, will help condition society to accept gays in society, and they will remove this veil the oxygen that goes to the bigots who don't want to see gay couples in mainstream society. Ask yourself this question. I've been for a long time now trying to get a basic, reasonable response as to what is the problem with having same-sex couples marry. What's the issue? And all these really shallow, unsustainable answers come to that question. So let me bring it down to you in the street. If in your street the law is changed tomorrow and same-sex couples can marry, if there is a same-sex couple living in your street at the moment and tomorrow the law's changed and those people go out and get married, is that going to impact on you or this society one iota, one skerrick of difference? Will it make? It won't make one skerrick of difference to your relationship. And I can tell you, if it does, you need serious marriage counselling. But I just can't see that there's a negative impact in changing this law. In fact, there are so many positive aspects to changing this law. For one, we treat all Australians equally. To me, this is a major point of interest to me. It's all right for Australia to pat itself on the back and run around the world telling the world how great we are, but we don't practice it. That's the major thing. It will humanise gays. We have a massive level of youth suicide in this country, one of the highest in the world. One of the main reasons that youth suicide is because they can't deal with the problems of their homosexuality. We will be able to treat gays and lesbians as normal members of our society. It's a major thing. And for me, my family, it appalls me that the law doesn't see my son as equal, and to me that's the major change. So look, without me going on forever, just let me say this. This is the right thing to do, and it's the right time to do it. We need some leadership from the Parliament, and you people are employed to do that. That's what you're there to do. It's incumbent upon you to treat every Australian equally, so let's just take this vote through. The majority of the people are ahead of the Parliament on this. Let's just get the job done. Thank you. This is my submission to the Legal and Constitutional Affairs Committee into the Marriage Equality Amendment Bill 2010. My name is Geoff Thomas, and I would relish the opportunity to speak to this committee in person.